Good day, everyone, especially to our instructor, Mr. Balana. Today, I'm assigned to discuss the topic in Chapter 6, RA4670, Republic Act 4670, otherwise known as Magna Carta for Public School Teachers, and shall apply to all public school teachers, except those in professional staff of state colleges and universities. Declaration of Policy. Republic Act 4670 aims to promote and improve the following. First, the social and economic status of public school teachers. This is to help the teachers attain in a stable source of income for their families and personal needs. Second, the living and working condition of the teachers. This law will make sure that they receive the rightful compensation for their job. Third, teachers' term of employment. This law will make sure that every teachers will meet the standard and given qualification and requirements before they are hired. And lastly, their career prospects. This law aims to help teachers to grow professionally as an educator. Republic Act 4670 also aims that teachers can compare favorably with existing opportunities at hand in other walks of life and be able to encourage other people to follow the path of being a teacher. This shows that teachers are very much needed in our society, but of course, those who have met the qualification are only hired. So, what is a teacher? All person engaged in classroom teaching in any level of instruction in full-time basis, including guidance counselors, such as school librarians, industrial arts or vocational instructors, and all other persons performing supervisory and administrative function in all schools, colleges, and universities operated by the government or its political subdivisions. It is very clear in a quoted statement who are involved in a classroom teaching at any level are only one whom can literally call as teachers. So now let's move on to another slide. Recruitment and career. How are teachers get hired? What degree does people need to finish in college in order to apply as a teacher? Minimum educational qualifications for teacher applicants. Teachers in kindergarten elementary level, they must finish a bachelor's degree in elementary education. Some universities and colleges offer major discipline in elementary education, such as early childhood development. For teachers in secondary levels, so they must finish a bachelor's degree in secondary education with a major and minor or a bachelor's degree in arts or science with at least 18 professional units in education. An example is our fellow students in Prof Ed. So they have already finished a degree but decided to take the units in education so they can teach in secondary schools. As for teachers of secondary vocational and 2 years technical courses, so they must possess a bachelor's degree in their field of specialization with at least 18 units of professional education. And for teachers of courses in the college level other than vocational courses, so they must have a master's degree with a specific area of specialization. This qualification is a must in state colleges and universities. But what if there are no applicants who possess minimum educational qualification? If in the case there are no applicants who possess minimum rather educational as stated in our previous slide. The school superintendent in a specific division has authority to possibly appoint applicants in temporary status, provided that they will undergo the following procedures. First, teacher applicants are strictly required to take competitive examinations in order for them to be qualified for the position. Second, in making appointments, the basis shall be in the order of their respective ranks in the examination. And lastly, the result of examination shall be publicized and every applicant shall be given priority based on their score and rank in the said examination. So now let's move forward to the probationary period. When recruitment takes place after adequate training and professional preparation in any school recognized by the government, no probationary period preceding regular appointment shall be imposed if the teacher possesses the appropriate civil service eligibility, provided, however, that they were due to the exigencies for the service. It is necessary to employ as teacher a person who possesses the minimum educational qualifications herein above set forth but lacks the appropriate civil service eligibility. Such person shall be appointed on a provisional status and shall undergo a period of provision for not less than 1 year from after the date of his provisional appointment. Next, tenure of office. Stability on employment and security of tenure shall be assured that the teachers as provided under existing laws. Subject to provision of Section 3 hereof, teachers appointed on a provisional status for lack of necessary civil service eligibility shall be extended permanent appointment for the position he is holding after having rendered at least 10 years of continuous, efficient, and faithful service in such position. Next, the consent of the transfer or transportation. Except for costs and as and otherwise provided, no teacher shall be transferred without his consent from one station to another. The division superintendent cannot transfer a teacher from one school to another without an agreement. Where the exigencies of the service require transfer of teacher from one station to another. Such transfer may be affected by the school superintendent who shall previously notify the teacher concerned of the transfer and the reason or reasons therefore. If the teacher believes that there is no justification for the transfer, he may appeal his case to the Director of Public Schools or the Director of Vocational Education. Also strictly, no transfer shall be done to the teacher before any local or national elections to avoid unnecessary issues regarding the reason of transfer. And lastly, if due to the call of service, which needs the teacher to transfer another one station, necessary transfer expenses of the teacher and his family shall be paid for by the government of his transfer is finally approved. The government is obliged to pay the teacher for this transfer expenses due to call of service. Now, let's move on to the Code of Professional Conduct for Teachers. Within 6 months from the approval of this act, the Secretary of Education shall formulate and prepare a code of professional conduct for public school teachers. A copy of the code shall be furnished each teacher, provided, however, that there is not possible by reason of inadequate fiscal resources of the Department of Education. At least three copies of the same code shall be deposited with the office of principal or head teacher, where they may be accessible for use by the teachers. This code of professional conduct for teachers applies to all registered teachers. Its purpose is therefore: first, it serves as guiding compass as teachers seek to steer an ethical and respectful course through their career in teaching and to uphold the honor and dignity of the teaching profession. Second, it may be used by the education community and the wider public to inform their understanding and expectation of the teaching professions. Third, it has an important legal standing and used by the Council as a reference point in the exercising its investigative and disciplinary functions. So now, since teachers are also human beings who are prone to commit mistakes, just like any other person could do, they have the right to equitable safeguards at each stage of disciplinary actions. So just like other people facing charges, teachers also have the following rights to be considered. During any disciplinary procedures wherein a teacher is involved, he or she have the right to be informed in writing of the charges against him or her. He or she must receive a written statement with the case and corresponding charges. The teacher also have the right to fully access every evidence and ongoing case against him or her. The teacher also have the every right to defend himself, to be defended by the lawyer of his choice or by his organization. This shall be given sufficient time for preparation of his defense. The teacher who is undergoing disciplinary procedures also have the right to ask for reconsideration of his case to the higher court. Another right of the teacher under trial is that any disciplinary action taken against him should not be announced in public if his case is still awaiting settlement status. On the other hand, it is included in the Republic Act 4670 under Section 10 that there shall be strictly no discrimination upon application to a teaching position. During in-service teaching and in termination of the service, any action of discrimination is punishable by the law. Next consideration is merit teachers. If it is possible, the teachers of education must take all procedures to employ married couple whom are both public school teachers in the same locality, either in a city or barangay. So now let's move forward to the hours of work and remuneration. Teaching hours. Any teacher engaged in actual classroom instruction shall not be required to render more than 6 hours of actual classroom teaching a day, which shall be scheduled as to give his time for the preparation and correction of exercises and other work incidentally to his normal teaching duties. Every teacher will be given time to prepare and innovate teaching instruction for his students. However, if it is badly needed, any teacher may be required to render more than 6 hours, but not exceeding 8 hours of actual classroom teaching a day. Upon payment of additional compensation, at the same rate as his regular remuneration plus at least 25% of his basic pay. Additional compensation for additional hour of actual classroom teaching shall be granted to any teacher, either permanent or probationary. Additional compensation. So, notwithstanding any provision of existing law to the contrary, co-curricular and out-of-school activities and any other activities outside of what is defined as normal duties, and any teacher shall be paid an additional compensation of at least 25% of his regular remuneration after the teacher has completed at least 6 hours of actual classroom teaching a day. In the case of other teachers or school officials not engaged in actual classroom instruction, any work performed in excess of 8 hours a day shall be paid an additional compensation of at least 25% of the regular remuneration. In addition to that, teacher salary shall at least very less keep pace with the rise in the cost of living by the payment of a cost of living allowance, which shall automatically follow changes in cost of living index. The Secretary of Education shall, in consultation with the proper government entities, recommended to Congress at least annually creation of necessary fund for the cost of living allowance of teachers employed by national government. The determination of the cost of living allowance by the Secretary of Education shall upon approval of the President of the Philippines, be binding on the city, municipality, or provincial government for the purpose of calculating the cost of living allowance as teachers under its employ. Moreover, in areas in which teachers are exposed to hardship such as difficulty in commuting to the place of work in order and other hazard peculiar to the place of employment. As determined by the Secretary of Education, they shall be compensated special hardship allowance equivalent to at least 25% to their monthly salary. Next, health measures and injury benefits. Medical examination and treatment. Compulsory medical examination shall be provided free of charge for all teachers before they take up teaching, and shall be repeated not less than once a year during the teacher's professional life. Where medical examination show that medical treatment or hospitalization is necessary, same shall be provided free by the government entity paying the salary of the teachers. In regions where there is scarcity of medical facilities, teachers may obtain elsewhere the necessary medical care with the right to be reimbursed for their traveling expenses by the government entity. Compensation for injury. Teachers shall be protected against the consequence of employment injuries in accordance with existing laws. The effects of the physical and nervous strain on the teacher's health shall be recognized as compensable occupational disease in accordance with existing laws. Next is leave and retirement benefits. Study leave. Study leave. In addition to the leave privileges now enjoyed by the teachers in the public schools. So they shall be entitled to study leave not exceeding one school year of 7 years of service. Such leave shall be granted in accordance with a schedule set by the Department of Education. During the period of such leave, the teacher shall be entitled to at least 60% of their salary provided, however, that no teacher shall be allowed to accumulate more than 1 year study leave, unless needs an additional semester to finish his thesis for graduate study in education or allied courses, provided further that no compensation shall be due the teacher after the first year of such leave. In all cases, the study leave period shall be counted for seniority and pension purposes. The compensation allowed for 1 year study leave has herein provided shall be subject to the condition that the teacher takes the regular study load and passes at least 75% of his courses. Study leave of more than 1 year may be permitted by the Secretary of Education but without compensation. Indefinite leave. So, an indefinite sick leave of absence shall be granted to teachers. When the nature of the illnesses demands a long treatment will exceed 1 year at least, teachers suffering from serious illnesses that needs a long span of treatment and medication can file an indefinite leave of absence with no specific date of return to work. Salary increase upon retirement. So public school teachers having fulfilled the age and service requirement of the applicable requirement laws shall be given one range salary raise upon retirement, which shall be the basis of the computation of the lump sum of the retirement pay and monthly benefits thereafter as given by the GSIS. Next is the teachers' organization. So freedom to organize. Public school teachers shall be the right to freely and without previous authorization both to establish and to join organization of their choosing, whether local or national, to further and defend their interests. National organizations, so national teachers organization shall be consulted in the formulation of national educational policies and professional standards and the formulation of national policies governing the social security of the teachers. Okay, thank you for the listening. I hope you understand my report and keep safe everyone.